Welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is Tuesday night, October 14th, about 8:36 p.m. It's a short weekly, so we're back early. Just 2 days off for us before we come back. But
Yeah.
Steelers play Thursday night, Cincinnati, an away game. Steelers actually have an awful record on the road on Thursday night, especially against the division. But they're ready to go this week. What are your opening remarks and thoughts from everything?
Yeah, I think just what we've seen so far, I think the Steelers have been doing well. I think they've been improving, and even with a poor record that they may have on the road on Thursday night against a division team, I think that they're going to come out with a win just by the way things have been going. Uh, you know, the way things are going right now. If the playoffs were ended, I think I saw that they'd be the 2 seed right now,
Yep.
and it's looking like kind of like the olden days where it was like the Colts, Patriots, Steelers, and Chargers, leading their
Yeah.
divisions in the AFC right now. So I'm just I'm happy to see how things have gone for them and how they've worked through a lot of their injuries, a lot of their issues, things like that to improve and things like that. So I think they're doing well. I think they're only going to do better from here.
Yeah, and that's a good segue into Mike Tomlin. He's going to start off here by discussing some of those injury that they have right now. It's good to see that most people are healthy, though.
Yeah.
Injury notes. Calvin missed the last game. We'll see what this week looks like. It's a short week, but we do have a good work day tomorrow. We'll see what that holds. There were no ill effects of Jalen Ramsey's return to action, Joey Porter Jr.'s return to action. There were some bumps and bruises associated with play in game, but nothing that would raise our antennas regarding player availability on Thursday night as I sit here right now. Obviously, Miles Killebrew's injury is significant, and he could be described as out. Now I'll transition and talk about.
Before we go into the Bengals, like you said there, Calvin Austin's one guy who looks like he's going to be out. He didn't practice again today. This press conference was from Monday, and he did not practice Tuesday. So I'm assuming that means he's probably out for Thursday night. Miles Killebrew is the other guy who's out. But other than that, it seems like they're pretty healthy right now, which is kind of surprising. But maybe that bye week helped. Maybe it's just good luck. Knock on wood. If you can.
Yeah.
But the Steelers are very healthy right now. They're going on to play a team that has been struggling, but still has some weapons out there. I talked about last week being a trap game on the road on a Thursday in Cincinnati. Sounds like another trap game for them. So hopefully that doesn't happen here. Any thoughts on injuries or anything?
No, I think they, like you said, I think they are healthy. I think they're in a good spot right now. Even with Calvin Austin being out, he is a nice little target that we do have on offense. I think that the Steelers were able to utilize the tight ends. The Browns, they utilize all the tight ends that they did have, and I think even with Austin being out, I think they still have some weapons that they can use to be able to move down the field and throw the Cincinnati Bengals defense off. So Calvin Austin will be missed. He's a very talented player. But I think that they do have some other guys that they can utilize to be able to make some plays down the field.
Yeah, and punt return game, I guess, wasn't too bad last week either. Pulling up a guy from practice squad who played pretty well. I think it was nice to see the three pass rushers all there together. Herbig having the big game, even though he technically wasn't the starter, I guess, even though they announced 12 men on defense this week or last week. He went in there, got 2 sacks. Just getting Highsmith back, I think, is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what Tomlin has to say about the Bengals. I think he starts on defense and then shifts over to the offense.
The Bengals, first, their defense. They have a new defensive coordinator in Al Golden. That certainly has our attention. There's intimacy in these divisional relationships. Most cases, man, you know them, they know you, and it creates an awesome chess match that's competitive and challenging and fun. They probably have a better handle on what we're capable of in this component of the matchup. I'm not highly familiar with Coach Golden's schematics. Just getting the first look at it. They're doing some things differently than they have done in the past, and that's reasonable to expect when you have a new coordinator. And so because it is a short week, that really has our attention. On the offensive side, certainly the story is Joe Flacco. And, it's reasonable to expect him to be significantly better in week 2. He's been in the stadium with them. They've been in the stadium with him. They understand his demeanor, how he deals with circumstances. I would imagine they worked hard a week ago on developing timing and cohesion. I'd imagine it's taken a significant step after having done so under some live football circumstances. I saw him make some anticipatory throws even last week, and so I thought he was significantly better as the game wore on. And so certainly we got a full week's work ahead of us in terms of minimizing a veteran, savvy, talented thrower like him, coupled with the eligibles that they have. And so that certainly has our attention.
So, yeah, last week they lost. The Bengals did 27-18 to the Green Bay Packers. Speaking of those numbers with Flacco ended up 29 of 45, 219, 2 touchdowns, only sacked 1 time. See, score-wise, how that game ended up going. Looks like the Bengals scored about even from first. They got 1 touchdown in the first half, and another touchdown in the second half. And they had a field goal in the second half. So, oh no, I am wrong. They were shut out in the first half. Third quarter is their first touchdown. Okay. So, yeah, they ended up scoring more in the 18 points in the first after getting shut out in the second half. So that goes along with what Tomlin was saying. But what are your thoughts on Joe Cole coming back on a Thursday night to face the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see him. I think I had made this comment before, but with him now coming to the Bengals, he's going to be playing the Ravens 3 times this year. In the regular season, which is interesting. But for him, I think that it's going to be a little bit tough for him because he didn't have much time to really get into this system, and then this is a short week going right into this Thursday night game, so he still really isn't getting, I guess, the significant amount of time that he really needs to really get acclimated with this offense. So I think it might be a little bit just tough for him. But he has been in the AFC North. He's played all these teams, so he knows how the schemes and knows how things go and things like that. So I think he'll be a little bit prepared just because it is a divisional game. But I think it will be still a little bit tough for him just because he still hasn't gotten the footing with the offense himself, with this new team. It's only been maybe about a week now with this team, and he's going to have to play two games in a week. So I think that it's still just going to be a little bit tough for him. But he's been there in the trenches with this AFC North team, so he knows what to expect for sure.
Yeah, and Tomlin, we're going to go into this question part of the presser, and he gets some questions on it, but I don't think he really addresses last year. Flacco came in off the bench cold and pretty much shredded the defense for the Colts. That was like the beginning of his run there with them, where he played pretty well. But yeah, I think you're right, but at the same time, he's enough of a veteran that it really doesn't matter as much as it would for another guy. That he knows the Steelers' defense like the back of his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, with all the games he's played, he showed that last year with the Colts. So I think we're just going to outman them and win the game. But I'm concerned with the idea of Flacco coming in here, and Tomlin. He answered some questions about it and some other questions here. It seemed like he was a little bit ornery during this whole thing. But here's Tomlin's in the question that he received this week.
When you see a veteran like Jalen Ramsey prepare himself when it looks like maybe he won't play, do what he has to do to get ready, go out on the field and play, what impact does that have on the rest of the guy?
It's certainly a shining example of what professional football is about. But I doubt that any of us are surprised by it. Just having been around him since he's gotten here, that's very consistent behavior with what he's displayed throughout. And personally, for a guy like me who has scouted him since he was at Florida State, I certainly know that's a component of his football character. So I'm certainly not surprised by it, but it doesn't mean that we don't appreciate it. Not only do we appreciate his willingness to play, we appreciate his playmaking. And you need both in order for it to be real. And he certainly provided both.
Yeah, we talked about it on Sunday, but again, like Ramsey came in here. Tomlin was very excited about getting him, and he ended up playing the way that Tomlin's been talking about. He's been one of the better players on the defense. He's been playing all over the place, 2 sacks on Sunday. He's been everything they could have asked for, I think, when they made the trade.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely filled the shoes of where Minka would have been, making plays and things like that. I mean, I understand that they play different positions, but Ramsey's able to kind of be able to shift and move around the field. And I think that he's been just a phenomenal player to have on our defense since he's gotten here, since that first game in the Jets. And actually, to be honest, since that preseason game against the Jaguars where he made that late hit, it's like, oh yeah, this guy's definitely a Pittsburgh Steeler for sure. And so I think he's definitely fit in with the culture of this team, and he's definitely been a playmaker. And I'm just excited that he's been on the team, and excited to see what else he has in store for us to help us move forward down with winning games in regular season and making our way and splash into the postseason.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What were your thoughts on the field conditions yesterday, and are you concerned going forward?
I thought it was poor yesterday. I'm not concerned going forward. It's my understanding that turf is going to be swapped out, but I certainly acknowledge it was a concern yesterday.
Did you have any idea, it had been a month since you guys played there, did you have any idea that it was going to be bad?
No, I don't work over there. I work over here.
When you guys decided to pursue Aaron,
What are your thoughts on the field, Lee? I want to hear him before I have to pop off if you say the wrong thing.
It was terrible. It was poor conditions. I mean, Boswell, the best kicker in the league, could have got hurt. We could have really been screwed, you know what I mean, with that little divot that he slipped in, So I hope that Mr. Rooney is on the groundskeeping people to get that shit in order, because, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, they're already redoing it. The cameras, the videos have already been shown of them doing it all. Yeah, it sounds like the Steelers should get their own stadium. They should go out to Cranberry or something, grab their own place. They have never owned their own stadium. They've either shared their stadium with the Pitt Panthers right now, or the Pittsburgh Pirates before that, or the Pitt Panthers before that, or the Pittsburgh Pirates before that. So the Steelers and their fan base, who love to complain about another team using their stadium, they've never had their own stadium. They don't own the stadium right now. It's a sport authority that owns it. So maybe they should look into buying their own stadium and actually doing it. Maybe that'll help them out so that they don't have to deal with the field being a mess.
I like it. I agree.
That's my opinion.
I like it.
get the contract done. 6 weeks in now, the way the passing game looks, is it looking the way you had a vision of? And if not, where might it be different, better, worse, however you see it?
I certainly had an overall vision of what it could look like, but it wasn't so detailed that I can compare it to our present state. I think sometimes when you're inflexible from a planning perspective in that way, you're not adaptable enough to be what you need to be. A lot of ideas certainly that we had about what it would look like have been confirmed, but you really don't know what you got until you get it. Being around him day to day and that component of it, his experience, what's natural and fluid for him, the relationships that he's able to develop with others, all of that's a component of the equation that could alter the vision component. And so I'm never too married to a vision. It's certainly moving in the general direction that I anticipated it doing, but it's also reasonable to expect that to continue as we push forward.
And as a follow-up, when you use the word flexibility there, until Calvin does come back, how would you like to see the ball distributed when it's not going to DK?
To open people.
I really do like that answer there. Everyone's like trying to complain about the distribution of the balls and the fact that the receivers don't have many catches. But who cares right now? Just get the ball to the open guy, like he said. You don't get more points by spreading the ball out to different receivers. The offense is moving. I'm not going to complain about it right now. I don't think it's an issue that really needs to be addressed. If you get a guy that comes on the field, the point is that I'm trying to make is you throw to your best players, and who's open, like Tomlin said there. So if they go out and get another guy or another guy steps up that's on the roster, sure. But if they're not going to do either of those, then keep doing what you're doing and not worry about making everyone happy.
Exactly, I agree. You know, I think that the maybe the offense wasn't what they thought it was going to be, but they're moving now. They have a little bit of an identity. They know what they're doing. You know, it may be a quicker offense, you know, than what maybe Aaron Rodgers and this team may be used to. But if they're moving down the field, there's, you know, too little mistakes. You know, they're making plays and scoring touchdowns. I don't see any problems with it. I think, however they're going to win games and they're doing it this way, I think they just continue to do it. And like Tomlin said, you know, whoever is hoping, get the ball to the guy that's open. I mean, somebody's out there able to make a play, and whoever's going to step up, someone is going to step up, and then Aaron Rodgers will find them, you know. So I think that this offense knows what they're doing. I think, it was just a little bit of a shaky start the past maybe first 2 weeks, but I think they've figured out a little bit of an identity, and I think they know what they want to do now.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, even though that they're dinking and dunking, they're still taking some shots. A lot of these touchdowns that they're scoring are deep balls that are getting caught and everything. So I think there's a good balance. Arthur Smith's doing way better than anyone thought he was going to do coming into the season, I think. And he's definitely, in my book, proven that he has more talent and skill as a coordinator than we were giving him credit for coming into this year, I think.
I agree.
Like on the field conditions, was the playing surface a factor in Miles Killeber's injury?
I have no idea.
Can you just talk about what he means to your special teams and how do you go about replacing him?
He's our captain, but you guys know the motto that we live by. We can certainly hurt for him as a man and as a teammate and a brother and the individual. But from a football perspective, one man's misfortune is another man's opportunity, and we certainly have some capable people, and there's an expectation that others step up and fill in the gaps.
You've coached in the AFC North longer than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big loss, but it's something you got to be able to replace, I think.
Yeah.
Love the guy, but it's still special. Like, he's still a special teamer. He's not out there. He's not your quarterback. He's not your leading receiver or anything like that. He plays a big role, but it's a role that a lot of guys should be able to step into, and they better be able to. That's part of being a pro, is being able to do that, right?
Yeah, like Tomlin says, next man up, you know. So, whoever is the next man up just, should be ready and prepared to get in there and be able to make plays and fill those shoes that need to be filled, and be out there to be the guy to make plays. So, this is the pros, like you said, these guys should be ready to go, and hopefully whoever is the next man up is ready to go.
I think we're about to get into some fun Joe Flacco questions. So
okay,
here we go.
All right.
What did you make of the rarity of seeing an intra-divisional trade of an experienced quarterback inside the division?
To be honest, it was shocking to me. Andrew Berry must be a lot smarter than me or us, because it doesn't make sense to me to trade a quarterback that you think enough of to make your opening day starter to a division opponent that's hurting in that area. But that's just my personal feelings.
How about that? Calling out a GM by name. You can the front office over there by name. He names the GM there. And he asked a very valid question. I have a weird opinion on this, but you go ahead first. About I have an opinion about divisional trades, but you go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's funny. Mike Tomlin just doesn't care at all, and the fact that he called him out by his name, I think it just adds to the rivalry that these teams have, with not even just the players against the players. I think it's also the organization versus the organization as well. So I think it's just a fun little jab, probably, but we'll see.
I don't know, man. I think I wouldn't call it a fun jab. It might be a jab, but I wouldn't call it a fun jab. I think he's taking a shot directly at him, and I mean to name him by name, to say the stuff he said, like that's not fun. I don't think Andrew Berry's happy.
Probably not.
But okay, what's the goal in the NFL? What is the goal of any team in the NFL?
To win the Super Bowl.
To win the Super Bowl. So does trading in your division, if you are getting back something, so this specific trade's different because Joe Flacco's at the end of his career.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what they got back, but I'm sure it wasn't anything that valuable.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a trade that they probably aren't going to win versus whatever they're going to get in this draft. Who knows? I honestly do not remember what the
I thought it was like maybe like a 6th-round pick or something.
Yeah. So this trade, take this trade out. But if your goal is to win the Super Bowl, you get the best trades possible.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if it's in division or not. You might be helping a divisional opponent win an extra game. So I can get the idea of if you're helping the division win, that means that you have less chance of making the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. But not if you're winning the trade. If you're winning the trade, you're making your team better. Then that means that the other team, by just the way the world works, would have to have lost the trade, right? If you're winning this trade, then if you're good enough at trading, if you have enough confidence in yourself, then I don't have a problem trading within the division.
No, I don't either. I mean, that's why I always got a little curious as to why a lot of these teams would trade to even different conferences. If they felt as though they couldn't get a better deal trading within. I don't know, but right now, I mean, with just the way this division's going, the Browns at this point are just the Browns of the Browns. That's just what it is. They're stinking it up. They had like a big quarterback room, and I think maybe they did what they needed to do. They had the quarterbacks ready because of barring injuries with other teams, with guys going down, things like that, and they were able to make some plays and get some extra capital for next draft and things like that. I think that they did what they needed to do, and Cincinnati needs a quarterback, and they made the best trade they could at the time, and I think that's what they needed to do, and I don't see a problem with it either.
Yeah, I mean, you're making good points too. Even for this trade, I said to take this trade out, but with this trade, as soon as they benched Flacco, they were punting on 2025. That was the end of their season. When they said that we're going to go Dylan Gabriel, that meant they were done with 2025. And Flacco's not going to be playing in 2026, I don't think, especially for the Bengals. The Bengals are thinking they're going to have Burrow back by December or a little. So you're getting a 6th-round pick for a guy who's not part of your future. In reality, isn't going to affect whether or not you're going to win this division this year. So even going there, Tomlin could be mad because obviously it's going to help the Bengals this year, and the Bengals are the closest to us right now with 2 wins compared to the 1-win Browns and Ravens. But here's a little more praise for Flacco from Tomlin.
All right.
When the Bengals acquired him, knowing what you know about Zach and how he likes to run his offense, like from Cincinnati's perspective, did it make sense for them?
It certainly made sense from Cincinnati's perspective.
Does Flacco play the way Zach likes to run his offense, basically?
He can throw the football, and he's always been able to throw the football. Arm strength, arm accuracy, anticipatory passer, fluid movement through progressions. That's always been his game.
Mike, I thought some of the snap counts, I think on some key players were dialed.
Any insight there? Anything you want to talk about?
No, I mean, he's seen Flacco enough to know. We've played him, when he was on the Ravens multiple times, at least 10 plus years, in the division. So he knows how things have gone with how Flacco is. Flacco has beaten us a couple times when he was on the Ravens and things like that. And so, Flacco, in his prime, he was a very talented quarterback. He is a lot older now, but he is a veteran, so he does have the skills to be able to still be out there and make some plays like that, But I mean, give him his kudos. He knows what he's doing. He's a good ball player, and he like you said earlier, I think he might be a little bit of trouble in this game, but I do still think the Steelers have the edge here.
I'm going to let some questions play through and get some reactions. If you have anything you like to say, pop in.
Back a little bit yesterday. Did the short week influence any of that decision making at all?
There's a lot of variables in the playtime, and I have no intentions of getting into the details of it because it may alter the competitive component moving forward.
What is it about Joe Flacco that he's had the longevity that he's had and is still playing at this high level?
You know, I don't know. I'm not around him day to day. I think oftentimes those questions are better answered by those that are around him day to day. But generally in this business, when somebody's able to compete and compete at a high level for a long time, it's because there's some real tangible day-to-day habits and relationships with the game that make all of that possible.
Mike, how have you seen the offensive line kind of develop through these first 5 games, specifically Broderick Jones? How has he kind of improved?
You know, I think the collective has gotten consistently better, but I just think that's a reasonable expectation. They're young as individuals, they're young as a collective, and with experience comes execution and precision, and that's been the overall trajectory of it. I've probably answered that question every week over the last 3 weeks, and my answer is still the same. It's moving in the direction in which we would like it, certainly, whether it's an individual within the group or whether it's the group as a whole.
Mike, following up on that, I talked to Troy Felton and Zach Frazier after the game, and the things that they said today, Victor, they're finishing and they're doing things like that. You've cultivated past successful offensive lines. What is a coaching staff that you guys have to do to build that path to success for a young group as they're figuring their way?
I think the more you have a better understanding of what you're doing as an individual and the trust that you're a component of a collective, I think it allows you to play harder and to play with emotion and for your talents to show more consistently and more fluidly. And I just think that that's just that's a verbal explanation of what you're looking at.
You can pause.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring up especially the last 2 questions about the offensive line. I think that they have definitely started to improve. I mean, this past game with Myles Garrett, they held him to like 1 tackle throughout the entire game. You know what I mean? And I don't think Aaron Rodgers was even sacked once. And I think that they're starting to figure things out. I think it was just a slow start. There were injuries in the beginning of the season. I think it was just, some nerves. A lot of these guys didn't even, play and have any play time in the preseason. And I think that they just needed to get that mesh together to be able to come together and figure out what their game plan was. And I think that they are slowly starting to get a little bit better. The first couple games we saw Aaron Rodgers was really throwing the ball really quick. But I think these last couple games, I think they've been able to figure out how to hold it a little bit more, to be able to give Aaron Rodgers just a little bit more time to be able to make some of these plays a little bit deeper where he was throw them and score some touchdowns. So I think that the offensive line is really starting to slowly come together, and I think they're just going to improve from here.
Yeah, Arthur Smith's doing a lot of creative things with Spencer Anderson and Darnell Washington, I think. But you mentioned Rodgers. You can't underestimate what he has done to help them out too, I think. Look at what Justin Fields had happened to him this past Sunday. Could you imagine him behind the young offensive line? It just would have been ugly, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's gotten a lot of time to throw, and he's still getting sacked a bunch. And I'm glad that they didn't take the risk on Fields. I think it's playing out that way. You don't have a long-term answer yet. Maybe Fields could have been in. Obviously, the Jets are a mess. But I don't think he was the answer, and they got a shot. I mean, they're the 2 seed right now, so I think it was the right move to make. It's still early, but I like what they did.
Yeah, for sure.
You see out of Caleb Johnson, specifically maybe bouncing back on a confidence level?
What do you mean?
I mean, after the muffed kick there before.
That has nothing to do with his ball carrying. He's never lacked confidence as a ball carrier. He's been continually growing and developing in that area. When given an opportunity to get some reps, he's been good, and we expect that to continue. He hasn't been given an opportunity to bounce back from the kick return, and so it's a separate discussion for me.
How rare is it, or how hard is it to?
So my 2 cents. He's. I think it might be because this is Monday. It's the day after the game. Usually, he gets an extra day to not have to deal with the media. But I feel like this is when he starts to He's still respectful with his answers, but he starts to get a little tired of everyone. The questions he's getting.
Yeah.
Nick Herbig comes in and plays well, and like Terrell talked about, finding a role for him. Then once I always came back to it. You kind of have to change your schematics. Is that
That's a good problem. I mean, having too many good players and trying to figure out how to distribute reps among
It's just
capable
early, I
guys
think. Yeah.
is a good problem. I welcome that problem.
Mike, what kind of advantage do you think your tight end room is, and do you think there's still a lot more there?
I think it's certainly an advantage for us. We've got a diversity of skill set and talent in that room. We got a big one that's capable of matching up against 4-3 ends, particularly in the run game. We have one that's a oversized athlete with excellent run after in Jonnu. We got a zone killer in Freiermuth. We got a versatile guy in Connor, and so the diversity of talent is a component that makes that room as competitive as it is and so helpful to us as a collective.
On that note, a lot of the guys were talking about how you teed up Darnell for that week against the Browns. How fun was it to watch him follow through and embrace that and play like that?
I'll keep our in-house business in-house.
Assembling guys with different skill sets like that, you didn't get them all at once.
Very much so. Very much so.
Mike, you talked last week about, the reason you drafted Darnell was you had the thought process in mind of 4-3 teams within the division. Similarly, when you put together the secondary, were you thinking in some ways about the challenge of the division, the Bengals, and all their
Absolutely. You better have some corners taller than me if you're dealing with the likes of T. Higgins and people like that. And so certainly, and that's something that we talk about as a collective, the intimacy of divisional relationships. It's just a component of the game. You better stack up good against those that you compete against in a lot of ways. And so I'm sure people acquire secondary people to match up with that collective. Baltimore took a first-round corner and Nate Wiggins the other year, I'm sure, with that group in mind. The Bengals have taken right tackles in recent years, I'm sure, to minimize TJ's impact in that relationship. That's divisional play. That's what makes it so challenging and so exciting.
Oh, crap. I missed our spot. But no, I like that too.
Yeah.
And the one he didn't mention is the way that we acquire the speed to combat Lamar Jackson. That's another move that the Steelers have done, I think, and that's been helpful. And I don't know. Do you want to talk about that? You can talk about the tight ends too, if you want.
It was good to see, because we had talked about it before. It was good to see that all those guys were out there being able to make a couple plays this past Sunday, and I think we do have a very good, talented tight end room. But I think he's right. Like you said, you play these guys twice a year. You know what to expect with some of these guys, and you got to make sure you have the players that you need. I mean, you need certain players for your roster, but you also need to make sure you draft some guys because, yeah, you're playing a Lamar twice a year. You're playing a Joe Burrow twice a year. You're playing some of these guys twice a year, and you want to make sure you have those spots filled to be able to keep those guys contained and keep those guys from, trying to either get out of the pocket or make big plays down the field or, be able to guard you and things like that, So you want to make sure you have the players you need because you're seeing some of these guys twice a year. You're only playing some of these other rivalry games every other 4 years, things like that, unless it's a random game and things like that. So it's not something you're really concerned about, So I think they do what they need to do. Like you said, it's all about, when it comes to these divisional games, it's all about making sure you have the right players for these games that you have twice a year.
Yep, I think you're exactly right. I bumped the wrong button, so
good.
I had to skip ahead. So we'll see where we are.
All right.
We'll see what question we're on now.
After 3 straight over 100, what do you feel like is working better in the run defense?
We're just gaining cohesion. We're getting better. And a component of that is, getting some of our significant pieces back, guys like Deshaun Elliott, who's been back for those 2 games that you mentioned, and who is very active in that component of play.
How much has Harmon impacted the run defense?
We made him an opening day starter as a rookie for a reason. He's a talented guy, but he's missed some time as well. And now that we have him back and he's rounding out in the form, I'd imagine that you're going to feel more of his impact as well.
If you remember right, we were very concerned with this. Debo was very concerned with this, and he said we'll be fine, and he was right at least through the last couple games. The run defense has been much better. Obviously it's different when you're playing with some more leads and everything like that. But the game was still close for most of it. But yeah, he was right about the defense for now, right?
Yeah, he was, and he told us not to worry, and he was right, like you said. And I think a lot of that comes down to a lot of the injuries that we did have, especially in that Seahawks game. I mean, there was just so many guys dropped like flies in that game, and I think it was just hard to readjust, with guys coming in, and then I think that getting some of these guys back have definitely helped in the past couple games to be able to win some of these games. So I think that maybe we talked about it. It's kind of shitty to have an early bye week, but maybe that bye week actually helped. Maybe it actually helped and made things better to get some guys back early, so that way they're able to stay a little bit healthier going down towards the end of the season. So maybe it was destiny for it to happen that way. But I think that these guys coming back have definitely helped.
Yeah, and then week 15 will come and we'll both look like idiots.
Yeah, exactly. Tired
team's tired.
Yeah.
Players credited Arthur Smith with calling plays that helped them play fast on Sunday. What has gone into the game plan to get them to use your guys in a way that they can play that fast?
That's just regular business, man. It is our job to do things in their wheelhouse, to have enough ball so that we're not predictable, but not have too much so we don't paralyze the group individually or collectively. I'm certainly not going to make more out of that than what it is.
Mike, has Darnell shown over the past 2 weeks that he deserved more time than just the four-man fronts, or is that just his sweet spot, you think?
We're going to divide the labor up week in and week out to suit the immediate needs of the competition. And so the last couple of weeks has been significant for obvious reasons that we've discussed. He's certainly probably going to be in a similar position this week in terms of role because, again, it's another 4-3 team. We'll worry about some of that other stuff when we get to it.
Mike, as the run game is heated up for you guys, you've opened up the downfield passing game a little bit. How have you seen defenses react to the running game heating up, and how has that opened up the passing game?
I just think that's a natural football thing. When you're effectively running the football, people have to deploy more people in the box. The people they deploy play with a certain edge, and it creates more space. It challenges their discipline and their eyes, but that's not exclusive to us. That's just football, and not only NFL football, but every level of football.
Mike, what have you like from Patrick Queen the past, well, I guess the whole season so far?
He looks like a guy in his second year. I challenge second-year guys, whether it's second year in the National Football League or second year with the Steelers. Last year was his first year as a defensive quarterback, and so it's reasonable to expect him to be better, and he certainly has been. And I'm excited about where that's going to go. I know particularly in the last couple of weeks, man, he has been a big impact in our unit.
Anyone else?
Yeah, they've had a couple guys that have set the tone a lot better. I feel like than maybe the last couple years. We'll see how it lasts. See what happens when we start playing a bunch of better offenses. Green Bay Packers next week will be a good test. I don't know how much of a test this week will be. Like we said with the Browns, this Bengals game will be a situation where if they play poorly, we might learn something. If they play well, we might not learn as much as we would like. But any other takeaways from anything through that batch of questions?
I don't know if you noticed when he, whenever he's done this through every press conference. I've been noticing this. When he gets short with the reporters, when he kind of looks at them and then he turns right back at the camera when they're still talking, he just know that he's going to be real short with his answer because he's like, I don't want to deal with this bullshit with this question. I think it's funny that he does that every time. It's a reporter. He's just done with it. He's fucking done with it.
Yeah, he was not into these questions at all. Coming late into it, but I think he was respectful enough.
Yeah, for sure. He's always.
There's a surprise here at the end that I really enjoyed.
Will you install another special teams captain while Miles is out?
I hadn't thought about it. I'm sure we'll think about it a little later in the week after we get some of this heavy lifting out of the way.
Does the size of his role make it almost? It has to be more than one person to replace it.
What's that?
Miles on special. The number of snaps he takes on special teams.
We're going to divide the labor up based on the skill set in a certain space, and so one guy might be similar to him in punt team, another guy might be similar to him in terms of what he does on the kickoff team. We'll deal with those individually per space.
It's a quarterback coming in within 8 days of showing up has to start 2 games for a new team. Can you speak to how hard that is, or maybe it's veteran guy?
Doesn't appear to be hard for Joe Flacco. Great. Right. Well, you guys are annoying me today.
You guys are annoying me today.
Great ending. Thank you, Mike Tomlin, for the entertainment.
I love it. I love it.
It wasn't a big Tomlinism fest either. He was in a mood.
I think he's tired.
So the Steelers play this Thursday, October 16th, on Amazon and your local TV channel, I'm sure. They're a 5.5-point favorite, 5.5-point favorite on the road. What do you think? What do you think for a final score, and who do you got?
So I'm going to take the Steelers to win. I think the final score is going to be – it's a divisional game, so it's going to still be a little bit tough. But I'm going to go with a final score of 24-14 Steelers over the Bengals. I think that my defensive guy, I think it's going to be I'm going to go with Joey Porter Jr. We haven't seen much of him yet, so I'm going to take him for my defensive guy, MVP of the game. On offense, I'm going to go with Jaylen Warren. I think he's having a good running game, and I think he's going to make some big plays, score a couple touchdowns.
I like that score. I'm going to go 2013. Steelers win. Defensively, I'll go Highsmith. He had that game back, just like Joey Porter did too. But I'm going to go with the other guy that just came back, and hopefully he's going to make an impact. Mm-hmm. Offensively, I'll go with the other running back. I think I'll go Kenneth Gainwell here. Okay. He didn't have too much of an impact this week, but he was still in the game. He was still doing some things. So I think he's going to be called upon to run the ball a little bit more. And this, I think they're going to grind out this win, kind of similar to last week. But Black was able to get a couple more scores than your other guy, Dylan Gabriel, was able to do.
Yeah, but I don't know if you saw the play. There was a sack that he got sacked on, or not a sack. I think it was like a QB hit, and he almost like punched at it was like Jalen Ramsey or something. I don't know if you saw. He looked like he was getting pissed, getting frustrated out there.
I missed it.
Yeah,
poor guy. They're a mess. But who knows? You never know what'll happen in the NFL. Maybe they figure it out. Maybe Shador comes in and he's the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah.
5th round pick, best fifth rounder of all time.
You never know.
But yeah, Lee, I got nothing else for you. You got anything else for me?
That's it. I'm looking forward to this game on Thursday.
Sound good. I'll see you.
I'll see you.